My TED experience began back in 2006, and actually, I think Jim Young is in the audience somewhere. Right? Jim, you want to raise? Yeah, I think Jim was actually the first person I met at a TED event back in 2006 at the Google opening party. And like a number of you, TED was a hugely transformative experience, and it was just, I just couldn't go on about how awesome it was. So when the opportunity came to do TEDx, I signed up pretty much as quickly as possible, and that was for TEDxNewcastle. I told a friend of mine in Liverpool, which is where I live. I work in Newcastle, but I live in Liverpool, and they said, "Oh my God, well, if we find a venue and sponsor, yeah, sure, fine, yeah, okay, all right." So then there was Liverpool, and one of the things about Northern England is there's a lot of rivalry. So when Manchester found out about Liverpool's, suddenly I had the BBC on the same side. Well, we heard about this TEDx thing. We got to be part of this. I said, all right, well, speak to Laura. So then Leeds, and then Sheffield. So that's how we ended up with 5, so that everyone in Northern England had a TEDx of their own to speak of. And Laura was luckily for us, she was willing to allow us this experiment, which for me I thought was going to be kind of like a rock tour, right? We're going to go on tour with TEDx through Northern England. So we had 5 within about 2 months at a time. And so my first lesson is, don't do that. Okay, don't do that. So the people who work with me, there's a woman that works with me. You can't even say TED, and she starts to twitch a bit. So that's one practical thing to think about. Some other things that did work for us were things like so I think was it Richard just mentioned social networks. So Twitter was wonderful for us. So for Manchester, I think we had 450 registrations, and literally every single one of them came via Twitter. I think it was a few by email or something like that. But so that was a hugely valuable tool for us, and what we did was we just simply networked in people who were big in Twitter in the various localities and said, hey, you want to come to TEDx? You want to help with this? And they said, yeah, sure, definitely. So suddenly we were plugged into people with thousands upon thousands of followers, and there was marketing done, if you will. So we use Amiando for ticketing. There are a number of ticketing solutions out there. Amiando was what we used. It worked great. There wasn't any problem in terms of keeping track of people and things like that. And that was pretty easy. I'd recommend music. So one of the things, I went to TED Global, which was awesome. And one of the things they showed was playing some videos from Playing for Change, which if you haven't seen it, just go on YouTube, Playing for Change. Since it was actually played at TED Global, I thought it counted as TED content. And we played that towards the end of the day, and that brought in a little bit of the sort of TED magic that we didn't realize it was going to be as popular as it was. So that's something, that was a practical tip that you could use. Telling your speakers that if they go over 18 minutes, they won't be considered for the TED.com website was a really good incentive for them to say, oh, okay. And we run conferences and events all the time, and as Reeves will tell you, it's very difficult getting people to stay at time.
But is that a true statement that they actually are, or were you spinning it?
No, I told them. I mean, no, that's not a true statement. I made that up for them.
There you go. Seriously.
Yeah. As in,
Knockout Talk at 19 is going on, but they don't know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, anyway. But it's remarkable. I mean, they really did listen, and people actually then have practiced their talk so that it stayed to sort of 20 minutes or less kind of thing. And then we gave them Q time afterwards and saying, well, that's the time that won't be on tape anyway, so don't worry about it. The Chris Anderson video. So with 5 TEDx's, we got to experiment all different ways to put the Chris Anderson video into your event. It works remarkably well to just open the event. So if people kind of, and it just comes on, people naturally just quiet down and they watch the video, and it's kind of done. And it's actually a good way to start the event. For us, that was by far the best way to do it. So those are some practical things. I think hopefully I've stayed under time. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to meeting you all.